And good morning and welcome to VSA Capital 5 Minute Morning Miner. And it's myself, Andrew Monk. I'm back. It's Friday the 24th of March and I can tell you a little bit where I've been actually. But morning, Ollie, how are you feeling? Because you've not been too well this week.
Yeah, I'm back to normal, I think. Yeah, all good. How are you? Welcome back. What have you learned from your trip?
Yeah, well, look, I will tell you, I was in Kenya. I was out actually just in the Mara, basically. So I did see a few nice animals. But I was visiting Caracal Gold and the Kilimapesi gold mine. And I've got to say, Ollie, I was really impressed. This is a really smart operation. They are pouring gold, making money, but the efficiency and cleverness with which the way they're doing it just was so impressive. A guy called Mark, who's the sort of plant manager, I don't mean this rudely, I mean it the nice way, a ruthless Afrikaans who was not going to allow anything to go wrong and who worked the team so well. And a mine manager called Nico, who was just so on the ball about, because they've got narrow veins, where to chase the narrow veins. Really impressive. And so the underlying business is, I was blown away, actually, to be honest with you, and it gave me a lot of confidence. There are a few issues at the PLC level. I'm the first to admit it. We're obviously working very closely with the company to try and solve those issues, and I think we'll get there, to be honest with you. And that's what my view is. You know, you don't run away when a company has a few issues. You help them, and you know what? I think we will get them through it, and it'll save the sort of 300 jobs that are being done out there at the moment, and actually create another 300 jobs for the locals. So actually, from a moral point of view, I think we're doing absolutely the right thing. But anyone else talk more about that to me, then do give me a call directly rather than me going on this particular podcast. But no, it was really good, really, really good. Thank you, Ollie. So what, turning to today, what news have we got today?
Well, it's actually a relatively quiet morning. Again, there's annual results out from Caledonia and Gemfield. So should we start with Caledonia?
Yeah.
So 4 years gold production, I think that had already been at 81,000 ounces. That was up about 20% year on year. So revenue $421 million. That was up 17% year on year. Gold prices were fairly flat. Revenue average pretty much the same increment. EBITDA though up 8%, with some cost inflation there, up from the AISC was up from 856 to 878, but with higher profits, that's allowed them to increase the dividend from 50 cents per share to 56. So a pretty strong performance overall. Obviously, they acquired assets during the year as well, and they've actually also announced a $30 million fundraising this morning as well, and they'll be using those funds to accelerate exploration of some of those recently acquired projects and doing more earlier stage development. Obviously, you know, for the last however many years, the focus has just been on production from single asset and maintaining that dividend, but clearly now they're trying to unlock some value earlier stage. It's interesting, in the fundraise they've allocated $3 million from local investors in Zimbabwe, but it'll obviously be interesting to see how much comes from shareholding in the US, with most of the trading now coming from the States.
Yeah, you broke up a little bit in that, but hopefully everybody got to hold it. I mean, I think to me the real interesting bit is this cost of all-in sustaining cost at $878, which is a pretty good price when you think the gold price is, you know, up above $1,900. They're making good money. The fundraiser being done at 1115p as well. So if you see the stock price off today, which it is, it's simply because it's come down to that fundraise price. So actually, I would say they are good numbers, and it's sensible to raise money. And as you say, most of the money will probably come from the States. I suspect that allocation to the Zimbabwe exchange, to a certain extent, maybe because you have to keep a certain local amount of money or shareholder within the local community, so to speak. So that may well be why they've done it, Ollie. I don't know for sure, but that could be it.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, Gemfields.
Yeah, so 4 years from them as well. Revenue up 341, up to $341 million. That's up 32% year on year. EBITDA up 25% year on year to $166 million. So that means free cash flow of about 100 million, and their net cash has increased to $105 million. Another dividend, it's a record for them, 2.886 per share. So it's just under 1% dividend yield there. Obviously, the auction results and pricing has been announced through the year, so that top line performance not necessarily a surprise, and the share price has been trending steadily higher. It's not at all-time highs, but there is some country risk associated with Mozambique, so that perhaps holds them back a bit. But obviously, a record dividend, and if that can be sustained, then you would expect it to move higher from these levels.
Very good. I know Paul loves his diamonds and gemstones, so it's a shame he's not talking on that one. It's very worth just commenting on it at the end. I'd mention your view. I see the FT this morning is talking about the Trafigura, saying that they think the copper price is going to go significantly higher. Actually, copper so far, I think, this year has been probably one of the top performing commodities anyway. We have been pretty bullish on copper. And I also noticed, just coming back from being away for about 10 days, that the lithium price really has fallen. Certainly lithium carbonate has fallen very poorly, hasn't it? Which again is something we've been saying all along, but I suspect it's now getting to a level where it's probably bottoming out. I don't know if you've got a comment on either of those quickly, Ollie.
Well, I mean, lithium and copper probably together. I think at the moment, obviously, our focus is, all about the Western banking crisis, but actually commodities demand is driven by China primarily, and China has been loosening their monetary policy. So all of those factors should be positive for commodities demand on the whole. I think lithium probably slightly different in that you had such a huge run up in price that has to normalize somehow. I'm not quite sure what causes a bottoming out and turning point when it's falling so quickly. But there doesn't seem to be, the same downside risk in commodity prices because of a global slowdown outlook. So still fairly positive on industrial metals as well. And obviously the gold price tested $2,000 again last night. And the gold equities look extremely cheap. The last time gold was this high on the eve of the Ukraine invasion, the gold equity index was 33% higher, and juniors have never been as cheap against the seniors when you compare the two indexes. So there's clearly a massive opportunity there.
Do you know, it's interesting you said, I mean, I was chatting, I was just sitting with a gold mine, and we were discussing also the relative ratings between gold companies on the TSX and those on the AIM. So if you look at something like Shanta Gold, it looks absurdly cheap at the moment compared with some of the TSX gold companies, which are much, much more highly rated. Doing a little comparison of that nature would be, I think, quite interesting. But I'm not asking you to do it, Ollie. It's the weekend coming up. Don't panic.
So we've got
anyway,
lots of full year results coming up next week. So there's plenty to be working on.
I'll keep it all to myself. If anybody wants to get views on those, they can. I noticed actually just a little view of the vanadium price has come off down to about $9.60, which is nice to see as well, because I was a bit worried about that was peaking up. But anyway, on that note, we'll call it a day. We've talked for far too long, but it's just because I've come back and I've got lots of ideas. But let's call it a day there, Ollie, and everybody enjoy their weekend. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.